All right. Today I'm joined by the team behind the hit musical Ride the Cyclone, Brooke, Maxwell, and Jacob Richmond. Brooke, a freelance musician, composer, and educator based out of Canada, and Jacob, a fellow Canadian playwright who's written plays like The Qualities of Zero, Small Returns, and Legoland, which I'm so excited to talk about later. They came together and created a musical that has broken TikTok and taken the theater world by storm, and I cannot wait to talk about it. Brooke, Jacob, how are you guys?
Hey, great.
Doing great. Awesome. Jacob here.
I I'm so excited to have you guys here. I want obviously we're gonna talk all about Ride the Cyclone, an insane social media hit, kind of like the Be More Chill effect, where it had its like off Broadway or New Jersey premiere in like 2014, and then through COVID and through like the love of the album, it went to Broadway later on. You guys, a lot of people don't realize this. Ride the Cyclone opened in 2008 and then it went to New York in 2015, and then it had this huge resurgence with TikTok and with all this stuff. Why do you think your show keeps on having these massive like comebacks every 5 or 6 years, just these huge blowups?
Awkward. Um, no, I don't know. It's a funny one because we did start back. I think we started conceiving of it in 2008, 2009, and Canada. It's a big place. We're on the West Coast here. We had a
Mhm.
chance to take it to the East Coast, to Toronto. That's the Canadian translation for New York.
Yeah.
Um, and we had some success there. But one of the funny successes that we had was, I think, some like high schools and early universities that I played with. Correct me if I mix this up, Jacob, but we had some success, like rabid response from that age group
Yeah.
as we were sort of starting to develop the show for more the off Broadway, or moving towards developing it for that. And so it was interesting. We had a hint of the youthful appeal for it, and
Yeah.
we sort of steered away from that. Not exactly steered away, but that wasn't our primary focus or demographic. And it's
Mhm.
so really interesting to see, however many years later, that the medium of TikTok and whatever else social media has allowed that demographic, that group of people, to access the show again and really resonate with it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
It's
absolutely.
really cool for us. We're, like, neither. Well, Jacob actually is a theater guy. I'm more of a music guy, and so I'm a bit of a tourist through all this. And as we had a chance to play even in Seattle, there was a Comic Con going on like right next door, and
Mhm.
Jacob and I were both like, I think those are our people. Like not it's not the sort
Yeah.
of typical theater crowd or what has been thought of as our demographic. So it's amazing how like the
Yeah.
internet has sort of steered us in the right direction, or allowed our people to find this show, and vice versa. So we're really grateful for
Yeah. Well, it's been really touching. Kind of like I went to the arena stage, kind of, and you saw a bunch of people dressing up as the characters, which was
Mhm.
really that was so adorable, right?
so
The
cool.
Janes and Oceans. Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's really yeah. It was quite. I was quite frequent at that. It was adorable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, there's so much of the musical that draws people in, but one thing I mean, my favorite thing about the show is the way you guys set it up where everyone has their moment and how everyone has their, like, big climactic song. There's so many bangers in Ride the Cyclone. I love it so much. I mean, just killer music all throughout. Do you guys have a favorite musical moment in the show at all? Something that sticks out to you as, like, "This is, like, one of my favorite moments in the show that I wrote or that we conceived that I just love very much?"
I mean, I'll go first, I guess. My favorite kind of, I think Brooke and I have spoken about it quite a bit, just on a level of, I don't know if it's my favorite moment in the show, but on a level of something that I think is actually cool and unique is when Jane kind of sings in the New Orleans swing. So it's really rare that you would have like
Oh, yeah.
a soprano singing that type of like a very
Mhm.
brassy kind of like jazzy kind of thing. So there's a lot of grit in it, which usually a soprano never gets. And it could have been really bad, but it actually works. And so we're always like going, cool. That's kind of like innovative, right? Because
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
guys
like
do shift genres a lot throughout the show. Was that like a goal beforehand or I know
mhm.
Brooke, you said you are like primarily a musician. Like was that like a want from the top of conceiving it? Like we really want this to like play with a bunch of different types of music without kind of sitting in just one place?
100%, and the music helping to tell the story of the character just by the genre or the palette
Yeah.
used, right? Jacob and I are, I mean, Jacob Jacob, when we met early on, his quote to me was, "He can play hot cross buns on like many different instruments." But so he doesn't play instruments, but he's hyper musical, and both of us are absolute music lovers. So
Yeah.
there's different genres and stuff that we were hopping in between. We're fans of all those different styles, whether
Oh
it's
yeah.
like Tom Waits or Bowie, or there was a whole bunch of music that Jacob introduced me to early on that was like, what
Mhm.
is this stuff? So it was really great. It was really sort of inspiring to dig into that and say, hey, what can we do that's along the line?
Yeah, that's and I feel like not only with the music, but also with the story and the characters, it's so versatile and changing. Something I wanted to just bring up. First off, I had no idea, Jacob, that you voiced the amazing Karnak on numerous occasions in the past. But
Yeah,
I was lucky enough, Brooke, I'm not sure if I told you this beforehand, but I was lucky enough that my school did the show. I'm a grad student here at West Virginia University. We did it this past October, and I got to go see the Arena Stage production. And I had no idea. We have this amazing puppetry program, and we made this beautiful, huge puppet for Karnak, and it was awesome. And I
Awesome.
saw it at Arena Stage, and they had like a guy in the box doing this beautiful movement stuff. It's wonderful. I know people have, I think, done it with voiceover before too, and stuff like that. Um, did you guys write the character of Karnak to kind of be this like open theatrical exploration, or was there like something in mind that you guys had and it's just kind of taken on a world of its own? Like, what was it like writing that character specifically?
yeah, that character was really like he was so necessary, kind of right
Mhm.
out of the gate, because I mean we sought to kind of also write like a six-person ensemble piece, but
Yeah.
we also didn't want it to be like 40 hours long. So having this kind of hyper narrator kind of go, but how to make that a theatrical conceit as opposed to something kind of flat, theatrically flat or anything like
Yeah.
that, right? But still moving it along because Brooke and I kind of met doing cabaret kind of pieces, and not like today I'm going to sing Sunday in the Park with George, like that kind
Yeah.
of cabaret, more like a cohesive theatrical evening where we wrote our own music and there'd be like a whole
Oh,
narrative
cool.
there. But a very important character in that was usually the host, right?
Yeah.
Just to move things along, or the interlocutor or anything like that. And so that's what Karnak was. He started off as just more in a necessity because I actually pre-recorded him for the first tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was because I didn't want to. I was also directing the show, so it was hard to direct the show and be in it. Actually, it was
Mhm.
crazy making. So I just pre-recorded him, and somebody was the puppeteer.
Oh,
And
sweet.
but the problem was when it was pre-recorded, all of his laugh lines, he'd always step on all the jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
So then I got really elaborate with like one version where we actually had spaces for the laugh lines. So the stage manager had to go after the laugh and go after the laugh. So that was pretty crazy too.
Yeah.
When we moved into the states, uh, the great Rachel Rockwell who worked on it, she felt she really wanted to go with a person as Karnak because he was
Mhm.
always a puppet before, right? And so and that really worked. I was like, I wasn't sure if that would work, but of course it would
Yeah.
work, right? Mhm.
Mhm.
So it's great on that front. I mean, so I love Karnak as a puppet or as a live action person, and I
Yeah.
love how much exploration there's been around that character.
Mhm.
Now, yeah, I'm sure there's gonna not be like two Karnaks will be alike kind of thing going
No, that's what I feel like the coolest thing is that
on.
truly that character is so different across all aspects. Yeah, I'm sure every Karnak is different.
That's what we love about seeing the different versions of the show and people's interpretations of it, is remembering that we come from like a very low budget sort of punk rock
Yeah.
background where we had to set that Karnak up, as well as the proscenium, as well as Virgil, the bass playing Rat, who ran the curtains in the earlier productions, like in half an hour at like a festival situation. Like so, we'd go in there, set that
Yeah.
up, freak out, set up the puppet, hopefully get the tech running, and whatever worked. It was a real
Yeah.
sort of nickel and dime adventure, and so there was a lot of creativity involved consequently, because that's what
Mhm.
keeps it all together. So seeing other people's versions of that for us is like so cool, whether they're interpretations of the characters or Karnak or whoever, but like using our show as a vehicle for their own creativity is like the ultimate payoff for us, because
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
inspired us in the first place, right?
Because I feel like sometimes it's hard to write a scripted show that people can look at as almost like a coloring book. Like you have these like lines, but you get to do what you want within the lines, and it is like really this like different experience. I've never seen like two shows both. I love the one at my school and I love the one at Arena Stage, but they felt like different but the same in this awesome creative
Mm,
way.
cool.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to talk about this other thing because obviously you guys had this huge rise in TikTok viral sensationness over the last couple years. And it was recently announced that a high school version is officially like released for Ride the Cyclone, that you can do like the high school version. Did you guys have a hand in changing that text? And on top of that, like what made other than obviously this huge amount of high schoolers that fell in love with your show, what was like the catalyst for wanting to do that, and what has the process been to kind of putting together that new version?
Yeah, we definitely had a hand or two involved
Yeah.
with that. And we knew that it was appealing to a certain age group, and
Mhm.
even the drama teachers of the high schools were like, "We love your show, but we're going to get so many letters from parents for a
Yeah.
couple of whether the lines or songs or whatever. So how
Yeah.
can we keep the essence of it and the sort of irreverence and joy and all that in there, and translate it to more high school?" So actually, we spent a fair bit of time on this,
Yeah.
working, myself and another friend, Alex Wasenko, who's a great writer as well. And yeah, so we were quite happy with the results. I haven't got to see any of the high school version.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, I
No, we haven't.
no,
I
it
mean,
looks
That's
I
exciting.
see.
the only thing I read that kind of made me laugh was they said in the high school version we turned Misha Baczynski into the Cookie Monster because yeah, he just always I want a cookie, right? And instead of like yeah, so we turned him into the Cookie Monster. That kind of made me
That's
laugh.
amazing.
Yes.
Steal,
Yeah.
right? He couldn't
Uh-huh.
steal communion wine. He had to
Yeah.
steal Girl Guide cookies or something.
Girl
Yeah.
Guide cookies. We subbed
That's the
that out.
equivalent
And
translation.
I guess I didn't really track that he's always asking for cookies all the way through the show. So yeah, it'll be a shout out to my man Cookie Monster.
That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so, yeah.
that's crazy.
Mhm.
The show is huge. It's made such a massive mark over the last 15, 20 years on the theater industry, and it's so amazing. I am a huge fan of lore, and I've been wanting to ask Jacob this question. And also, Brooke, I'm not sure if you might be involved or anything, or in the process of making it. I read Legoland a while ago. I
Mhm.
loved it so much, and I found out that Ride the Cyclone is the second part of this Uranium Teen Scream trilogy that you're doing.
Mhm.
Can you talk at all about the trilogy infers a third thing? Can
Yeah.
you talk at all about what that third thing might be?
Well, like I can give kind of a little kind of the setting will be a cruise ship, because they all follow like there's Legoland,
Yeah.
there's roller coaster, and then this one's kind of one of those massive cruise ships.
Oh, sweet.
And it's an intergenerational rock band where one of the characters from all three shows will be in it, right? In the ring, and so
Yeah.
and so and right now the working title is Princess and the War Brides. So
That's
yeah.
so cool. That's
Mm-hmm.
so exciting. I feel like with all the fan edits and all the fan accounts on TikTok, every like seventh video on my For You page has like asked about the trilogy or been like, little did you know Penny Lamb is in another play and all of this stuff. And it's always really, really fun to. I'm a really big fan of lore too, and I feel like Comic Con is very much a home for me. Like I love that kind of stuff. I know our editor
Yeah.
and producer KJ is a huge fan of that stuff too. So having a piece of theater that also kind of falls into the realm of like having this lore and stuff built around it, whether it's theories made up on TikTok by fans or whether it's like the speculation of what this trilogy might be in the future, is so cool. And I'm so glad you guys brought this piece of theater to light, this like awesome piece of theater that I feel like transcends a lot of other works in that like you see. It does so many cool things.
Oh wow! Thanks so much.
No, of course. Thank you guys so much for being on here. Before we go, I do also want to say, Jacob, you told me you guys are working on the Ride the Cyclone website and
Yeah.
merch and stuff like that.
hmm
That's
hmm
so exciting. Do you have what's that going to be? Is that going to be?
Yeah, we're trying to launch by April 1st, and then kind of hopefully it's a nice little interactive, fun website where you can kind of like we'll keep you up to date with what's upcoming with the show,
Yeah.
all those kind of things. So show fan art, cosplay, all those kind of things. It's
Oh,
gonna
that's
be
awesome.
yeah, it'll be super fun. So April 1st, look for
Because
it April
even
1st.
even here at WVU, we had some Pennies and some Oceans and some Mishas in the audience.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Yeah,
It was
Awesome.
yeah,
awesome. We had people coming from all over the country doing like high schoolers coming from all over the place doing cosplay and like coming to see
yeah.
the show.
It's
That's
amazing.
that's totally our dream. You know, like
Mhm.
we admired Rocky Horror so much,
Mhm.
and just the sort of vibrancy and zaniness, but also humanity involved in that, and just seeing people's engagement with a show like that is so cool. I joked a long time ago that all we really wanted as our point of success was if we're able to get to the point where we can sell lunch kits, Ride the Cyclone lunch kits. And
That's
then
Yeah.
awesome.
my mom actually made me one out of old playbills or
Oh,
whatever.
that's so cool.
Pretty cool, yeah. So
That's
I
so
don't know if
cool.
we're gonna be there in the merch store with the lunch kits, but
Mhm.
something to work towards.
That's still something
Mhm.
awesome. Thank you guys so much, Jacob, Brooke, for being on the show. Seriously, this has been a pleasure to talk to you guys. And
Awesome.
if somehow you haven't heard of it, I don't know how, go listen to Ride the Cyclone, go see it in your area, produce it at your schools, the high school version, produce it at your colleges, your regional theaters. It's an amazing show. It's so much fun to see. Thank you guys for chatting.
Awesome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Cheers.